So Nuh alayhi salam, he lived and he saw Sayyidina, I mean, it is said in the books that he probably actually saw Sayyidina Idris alayhi salam because he lived, almost at the time of Idris. And in the Quran, it says, or in the Hadith, it says like long time ago that a prophet would die and then another prophet will rise right away. So, we know that those, prophets that they lived basically like in the same timing. But at the time of Nuh alayhi salam and Sheeth and Idris, they used to live for hundreds of years, not only for 60 or 70 years. They used to live for like many, many, many years. So sometimes like one or two prophets may actually cross in the timeline with each other. Subhanallah. So Nuh alayhi salam was one of the best prophets, as I said, of the five prophets. And I'm going to tell you why. Although not a lot of people, believed him. Not a lot of people. Like we know that Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam has so many followers. Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he has so many followers, right? The Muslims. We have Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, they have so many followers. But when we come to Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, he was the one who actually did the da'wah the longest time for 950 years. But he was the least probably of ulil azm that people followed him. So really, that tells you something, that the da'iyah, or the one who actually calls for Islam, is not being a good da'iyah by how many people became Muslim for him. Yani, for example, if I'm going to ask you right now, who is the best da'iyah in our days, in our modern days? Some people would say Yusuf Istis, because thousands of people became Muslim by him. Some people would say maybe Nu'man Ali Khan, or some people would say maybe Yasser Qadi, or of those great scholars that we know, right? But really, in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not how many followers they have, or how many people that they become Muslim by them, but the effort. Allah looks in the effort. He looks in the heart. And Nuh alayhi salam was one of the people who did da'wah the most and the longest, but less people became Muslim by him. And that actually depending on the environment and the culture that he was living in, the receptivity of the people, how much they can receive the the message. If you go to Africa, for example, and you bring a whole tribe, let's say, or a village, and tell them about Islam, they probably gonna, all of them are accepting. Because if the head of that tribe will accept, most of the followers of that, the head of the tribe, will become Muslim. So you'll see them like standing all together with the da'iyah, and he will tell them, okay, repeat after me, ashhadu. And you will see hundreds of people are saying ashhadu with him, la ilaha illallah, and so on. Subhanallah. But you come over here on the streets of Dallas, or here in the West, for example, and you see 3 or 4 da'iyahs that they're calling for Islam, and they have signs and booths, and they give Qur'ans and pamphlets, and sometimes they do like some kind of activities of the sisters, that they make them wear hijab and look at themselves in the mirror and so on, and maybe like nobody become a Muslim, or one person will receive the message and will become Muslim. So it's really not depending on that person himself. Of course, the person depending on his effort, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees his effort, but also the environment around that person, how much they can receive the message, and the way, whether they are individualized or they are a community oriented people, and so on, right? So it depends also on the society itself, on the environment.